Everyone, before we get into our spooky episode, Read, Watch, Scare, please follow us on Instagram at Rewatch Play Podcast. You can also write into us at rewatchplaypod@gmail.com and follow us on all your major platforms. Thanks.
Welcome to Read, Watch, Scare's second episode. This week, we're covering a movie that made me sleep with the light on for 3 straight nights, 2009's found footage classic, Paranormal Activity. I'm Nick Hinkson, and I'm here with the man that is more than willing to stand over you and watch you while you sleep, whether he's possessed or not, Randy Barrage.
Randy, thanks for doing this. Edward Cullen joke?
Maybe. We can bring it in. That could be Edward Cullen. I was mostly talking about Katie watching Miko, but, it works, if I'm the Bella to your Edward.
6 weeks on, still can't let Twilight go. Legitimately texted you about it today.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. You're already pumped to watch the next Twilight movie.
I am. The thing is, I don't want to read it. All right. Once again, time out. Stop the Twilight talk. Stay focused on the task at hand, which is Paranormal Activity. Kept you up for 3 nights.
When we saw it in high school, yeah, it sure did. I'm a sucker for the unknown being scary.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we saw this together, but do you remember seeing it for the first time?
Yeah. Straight up. One of the most memorable theater experiences of my life, entire life. I could tell you, Nick, at Regal Cinema Warrington, I can tell you what theater we were in.
It was that big one in the front.
On the far corner in the front.
Yeah.
What part of the theater we were in, which was on the left side, if you're looking at the screen on the left side towards the front, because it was packed. And I knew that because I ran out of the theater during, I'm trying to think of what part it was. I ran out the emergency exit, and then I had to double back and come back through and enter the theater again. Dude, this was, what I remember is the crowd is going bananas, not an empty seat in the house. And I just remember it being electric in there.
Yes.
It was it was just crazy. So I vividly remember this.
The tension was palpable in that theater. Everyone was on the edge of their seat. Yeah. I do have that feeling stuck in my body.
Mm-hmm. And it was the case of, maybe our generation's Blair Witch, in the fact that, one, it was a hugely popular found footage, but it was also, I don't think we had smartphones then. So I remember with the initial title screen about, thank you to Micah and Katie's family for letting us use this. Nobody was really sure if this was real or not. Realistic people probably, but when you're just a high school idiot, you're buying into it. You're locked in.
Oh, for sure. I remember going home, getting on the computer, like a desktop, the family desktop, to Google if this was real or not. Because same thing, the intro got me, and I was an idiot. So
yeah, we just believed it.
Unable to think critically at 16 or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I posted, when I watched this over the weekend, I shared kind of my Letterboxd review. I wasn't even asking for comments on that. I wasn't asking, but I just posted my Letterboxd review and was like, we're recording this weekend. And
Randy said, keep your thoughts to yourself. I don't want to hear them.
Don't want to hear them. Dude, but I had so many people reach out and text and on Instagram with just memories of seeing this. One, Kevin said, it wrote in on Instagram and said, saw this in theaters in high school, scared the shit out of me, 10 out of 10. I remember being so scared going to bed that night. Would bet one or both of you were there. Absolutely. I think everybody in our high school was in that theater that night.
I remember us having an entire row.
Easy.
In that massive
At least
theater.
two rows.
3-4 cars full of people all come in.
And the other one was Dave also responded on Instagram saying, I don't remember this, and it took me a while to understand what his comment meant. Elbows locked and scared to death in the theater. And now that I think about it, I do remember us arm in arm towards, as soon as the night scenes would come, we would interlock arms. For some just bro power to get through them. And he was saying how we dropped our one friend off, and he said, he gave us this dead eye stare as he slowly starts walking back towards my truck, trying to freak us out after the movie. And we peeled out of there. Great experience. I'm in the same boat, dude. I I think we forced someone's parents to have a sleepover, so I didn't have to go home alone because I just couldn't do it.
I believe that.
Yeah. Oh my God. When was the last time you had seen this since that initial experience? Like, have you rewatched this?
No, I don't think, maybe. I don't know. Who knows? I don't remember watching it between now and then,
Yeah.
but it's unlikely I didn't.
Yeah. Actually, this may be a surprise. I own this on DVD. I know. I,
You you owning a horror movie on DVD is like me saying I own The Shining on DVD. Like, why?
yeah. I I remember when Amazon first got like really big, it was coinciding with like the DVD market just like completely bottoming out and DVDs were so cheap. And this is when we were in college. And I just started buying so many DVDs because they were literally like $1.99 and $2.99 on Amazon. And at this time, Paranormal 3 was coming out. And I was like, all right, I'm going to pick this up so we can like watch the first two again in college, like around
Yeah.
Halloween and then get prepped for this. So I think that's why I bought it. I wasn't just, I'm not firing up Paranormal on my own unless I'm forced to for the purposes of this podcast, but that's why I own it.
Speaking of you firing this up, I'm actually shocked that you admitted this to me in a text, but you are such a wuss. You watched this in the middle of the day.
Yeah, it was like
The
noon.
movie designed to be watched in the dark, really loud, and you're just like noon in Florida, sunny Sarasota. You're just popping this on casually,
Yeah, I think I was watching this while eating a late breakfast, I'm pretty sure. Like,
like
I,
brunch, maybe.
yeah. I mean, the thing is like, one, yes, absolutely. Do I want to watch this at night? Is it going to make my experience better, aka worse? Yes, 100%. Two, I'm like, do I want to like spend my night watching this and traumatizing myself or spend my night watching something new?
Wrong.
So yeah, no shame. I'm not gonna ruin my week over this.
Yeah.
So you watched it at night?
Yeah. We turned it on Saturday night and, it had just gotten dark, turned out all the lights, and uh, maybe I'll hard launch our new puppy Rosie here.
Yeah.
So we have a 6-year-old dog named Gracie who you've met on the podcast a few times. Now we have a 3-month-old puppy named Rosie, and they get along great and they love to play, but they're really loud players. So we're getting into this movie and they were both being quiet. And then the first night scene comes and then they just start going crazy, playing with each other, barking,
Yeah.
growling, the whole 9 yards. And Michaela's like, shush, stop. And I'm like, no, keep going. I don't want to be here alone in this scene.
Yeah.
Don't let me get caught up in this. Just scream. I'm like, no, let's go. Let's let them do their thing. Let's let them
Yeah.
do their thing.
Yeah.
Because I could read on the screen, it says like low humming and then like
Ugh.
quiet thumping. And I'm like, yeah, it's building up. And she's trying to quiet them. And I'm like, thank God. Thank God. Man.
Yeah.
It happened like 3 times throughout the movie and I was grateful every time.
Maybe they just sensed it. I mean, a hallmark of horror movies is the dog knows. The dog always knows first. So maybe Rosie and Gracie sense the presence of the demon.
Maybe. Although Gracie's notorious for not enjoying us watching movies.
Mm,
She'll just sit there, look at the screen, look at us, and
yeah.
just deep sighs and then lays down.
Yeah.
Maybe goes and grabs a toy. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, she puts
But
more of the play in the read watch play as opposed to watch.
that's fair.
Yeah.
That's a good. Speaking of, for those of you who are going to see a clip of this on Instagram or wherever else we decide to post a clip, I am sporting our first piece of Read Watch Play merch.
Yeah, looks fresh. I like it.
It is.
Very jealous.
Michaela got it for me for Valentine's Day. It's a little bit early of a gift, but it's just a blue crew neck sweater that is super comfortable with Read Watch Play on the right side. Maybe we'll sell them. I don't know. Who's to say?
Yeah. I would like one someday. Maybe shout out to if there's anyone in my life who needs to get me a Valentine's Day gift. That would be a great one.
I can't think of anybody that would want to get you a Valentine's Day gift, but maybe I'll get it
Yeah.
for you for your wedding.
Yeah, that's true.
You only have to wait 9 more months.
Um, you mentioned at the top that this is a found footage movie. Can you give us some
Classic.
context as to what is this subgenre of horror and kind of it blowing up in popularity?
Nah. Let's just get into it.
No found
I
footage?
do that I do that like 50% of these episodes,
Yeah.
and I can only imagine that the people listening are like, "Jesus Christ, Nick, just shut up and do your spiel."
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, but just quickly, a little bit about the subgenre and its rise to fame. So in a nutshell, the found footage genre, especially in horror, because I think you can use it other ways, but it's primarily a horror genre where you're watching the events unfold through, what is essentially found footage, like homemade video type work. Um, there's a couple notable features, the cameras are usually shaky. It's oftentimes from the POV of the character holding the camera, right? A
Mhm.
lot of like off-screen dialogue with on-screen dialogue. Every now and then it'll be set up so that you see all of the characters involved, but that's not really the norm. And there's not really a big music score if there's one at all. There might be some needle drops if some music's playing in the background, but again, it's home footage, so it would kind of defeat the purpose of having all that other sound. And not to make it a history lesson, but this style became super big in 1999's Blair Witch Project, which Randy mentioned earlier. That movie brought in 248 million on a $60,000 budget, which is
Crazy.
just an absurd figure. And we'll get into it, but Paranormal beat it somehow.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can do these at oftentimes tight spaces. I mean, Paranormal Activity, as we'll discuss, there's like 3 locations. It's the backyard, it's the living room, and it's the bedroom. And
Yeah.
that's the majority of the movie. I mean, you walk around the house a little bit, but that's where it's focused. So those are a little bit of the key elements of the genre. But, Randy, where does found footage rank for you in terms of like horror genres? Is it something you enjoyed? Did you not enjoy it?
Yeah, no means an expert. I think so. I mean, when I say by no means an expert, it's not like I've seen a wide array of found footage horror movies. Uh, I've obviously seen Blair Witch, which is, I mean, I think it's not only the first, but it's still considered one of the best and most effective. Even though going back, it is a little bit like the shakiness of the cam is a little disorienting now because it's just
Yeah.
such an old camera in Blair Witch. Like it's like your dad's Christmas morning camcorder they're using. So it's a little less I don't know, elite compared to what's our guy's name's Mika in paranormal. But I'll also give a shout out. I mean, we talked about Late Night with the Devil. I forget what
Mhm.
episode that was on. Oh, it was in our favorite Halloween movies of the year.
Yep.
Great use of found footage in the genre. It's also a movie called VHS, which scared the shit out of maybe scarier than Paranormal and Blair Witch for me. Though I think Blair Witch might have on its own the scariest scene of all of them at the very end that just gets me every time. But I don't know. It's like it's a subgenre where like I like the cream of the crop. I like the best ones that kind of get up in popularity. I'm sure that there's just some really bad ones out there too
Oh,
that I'm
I'm
just like
sure.
not super deep into the knowledge base of to know. What about you?
It's okay for me.
Yeah.
I like it as a concept, but I need it sparingly. And to your point, I'll watch the really big ones. I didn't really enjoy Blair Witch Project, to
Mm,
be honest with you, but love Paranormal Activity. Really loved Late Night with the Devil. When we were thinking
yes.
about the second episode, we were debating if we should do Late Night with the Devil or this. So probably take a few episodes off from doing another found footage, but we'll circle back.
Yeah. Now that one is like you can tell they have so much more money for Late Night with the Devil in comparison to like these two. It's just a very there's a prestigeness to that one. Um, which is okay. Like this is B horror in a way, and that stuff's great too. But Late Night with the Devil is a fun watch. It's really good production design. Um, so do you want to give me a bit of a plot synopsis of what is scaring us this month here?
Yeah. So, for the uninitiated, Paranormal Activity is a supernatural horror film that follows the lovebirds Katie and Mika as Mika documents the bizarre and terrifying events occurring in their own home. As the disturbances escalate, they realize they are being haunted by a demonic force. I should probably have practiced saying demonic.
It's all right.
Demonic.
It's not, you don't, it's not a word you're breaking out every day.
Yeah.
Don't need it on the work calls too often.
No, but it uses sound masterfully. It keeps you on the edge of your seat by what's not on the screen and the impending doom of what you'll never see.
Yeah.
Uh, really well done. It was directed by Oren Pele, and it was actually originally an indie film that was shot in 2007 for $15,000. Paramount Pictures loved what they saw. They picked it up. They spent another $200K reshooting one or two scenes and then pumping that money into marketing before a wide launch in the US in September 2009. Randy, for $15,000, guess what this movie pulled in at the box office?
Um, I'm roughly aware of where it's at. I don't know the exact. If I were to guess, I don't think it made as much worldwide as Blair Witch did, but I'm going to
Correct.
say 160 million.
194 million on a
Damn.
15K budget. It's often cited as the most profitable movie ever from an ROI standpoint.
Yeah, that's why they keep making them. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
One of them had to hit, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, that's insane. On I don't know. I mean, it just goes to show that I mean, there's room for everywhere for everything in filmmaking, and you can make a really great movie with a really limited budget. And it sucks because I know that also in the original finances of this, the two main characters are paid $500 each. So like obviously it's not a good thing to make a movie for this cheap, but like it's awesome that you can make an excellent huge movie that packs
yeah.
theaters for this amount of money. Like that's awesome, I think.
Well, and let me if you're an independent filmmaker and you only have $15,000, I don't
Yeah,
necessarily
yeah,
think
yeah.
it's a bad thing to make a movie with the money
No,
you
no, no,
do
no.
have.
Yeah. I'm just
But
saying, like, if the only way you're having a cheap budget is like not paying people, like,
oh,
that
absolutely.
sucks. Yeah.
Agreed with you
Yeah. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
But
If
it's just
Paramount
cool.
Pictures shot this for 15K, I'd be
Yeah.
pissed. But
Yeah.
for an independent filmmaker who probably had to scrape together 15K, I should have looked into this. I didn't, but I hope he took care of the people involved when
I think they redid the contracts after it blew up.
good.
But I just knew like the original trivia is like, yeah, their initial paycheck was $500.
Yeah,
Just
that's
like,
insane.
but it was like 10 days of filming. So it's also like at that time, there is this thing too of like, if someone was like, hey, Randy, do you want to make $500 to be in a movie for 10 days? I'd be like, yeah, like
Yeah.
why not? Like, it's not like this is
Fair
like
enough.
a 3-month shoot.
Right. Yeah, fair enough. Fair
Yeah.
enough. And they
Um,
weren't well-known actors and actresses prior to
no,
this. I mean, so
no,
you gotta
still
get
not
something on
really,
your
but
resume
yeah.
somehow. Yeah.
You want to hit me with some boo boos?
I see what you did there. Uh, I wanna say I don't respect it, but I'm laughing, so it was pretty good.
You give me the most disappointed look you've ever given me in your life.
So dumb.
Yeah.
On a scale from 1 to 25 nightlights needed to sleep, where did this rank for you?
First viewing, not even bullshitting here. This was a 25 out of 25 the first time I saw it. Like,
Yeah.
scared the shit out of me. And I don't care what you say. Like, yes, some things can seem dumb now and, whatever. But first viewing, this was lights out. I'd say like repeat viewing, this is still hovering around like a 21 for me because it's just
Okay.
like this is big scare territory. What about you?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would have the same answer. First viewing, 25 out of 25 nightlights. It was terrifying. Rewatch, I didn't realize just how much of a dick Mika is, and I don't know that it works for me anymore on that level. But yeah, he's very 2007. I'll put it that way. And Yeah,
Yeah,
21, 22, because it's still terrifying. It's
yeah,
absolutely crazy, from the fear factor standpoint.
yeah. Like, who wouldn't be scared by this? I don't get. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Uh, your fiance has often told me that she is also possessed by a demon, and I
Don't
wanna
say that,
know, where does that land on your list of fears?
dude. I mean, like I think I've said this before. It's weird because like I'm not even like a super religious person. Didn't grow up religious, but demonic possession for some reason just it is just up there for me. Like, and especially just the nighttime creepiness factor of it, where like, what do you do to get out of this situation? I have no idea. So this is very high on the list. I just got to ask the question, like maybe firing back at you, like when do you disclose in a relationship that you are haunted by a demon?
3rd date.
Yeah, that seems like a
3rd date.
rational response.
Yeah, you gotta.
It's not a date one. Like I
No.
empathize with Katie here, but like,
No, but she also did wait 3 years to say something,
yeah,
or at least that's what it came off as in the movie, which is a bit long, and I
yeah,
get that that's but, like, definitely, like, "Hey, do you wanna move in together?" "Yeah, but let me level with you real quick, it's you, me, and my demon." Just a little
yeah.
something.
Are you staying in any relationship if they tell you if you're just, let's take our current significant others out of this. You're in the dating pool. Are you ever staying in a relationship if someone tells you that they are possessed by a demon?
On the 3rd date, no.
On
I
any
gotta be
date?
honest, it's a deal breaker for me. Well, like, here maybe you're 3 years into this relationship and Katie drops the news. I don't know what I would do
Yeah,
if I'm engaged to be engaged, as Mika so
yeah,
eloquently put it. I don't know what I would do in that situation. It's
yeah,
hard to I'd probably brush up on my demonic knowledge for sure.
yeah. I'm probably out.
You're definitely out.
I'm
That's
out.
not even a question for
There's
you.
there's just not a chance.
Yeah, I would've thrown it back at you if I thought your answer would have been anything different than that.
um,
I actually can't remember if I wrote this next one or not, but I'll read it. Is there a place for found footage, or yes or no, is there a place for found footage in cinema outside of horror? And if so, where would you like to see it?
say sure. Um, found footage I think is best used sparingly. I don't want to be watching found footage all the time, but yeah, there's a place for it. I mean, there's been other ones like Project X, I think is technically found
Yeah.
footage. Um, District 9, I think is found footage, sci-fi movie from like the 2000s.
Is that found
I
footage?
think so.
Okay.
But yeah, I think mixing up the filmmaking style and approach, I'm always for it. What about you?
I think there's definitely a place to use found footage in movies, and I think if you utilize it more, it could be really cool. I think, outside of what you were saying in sci-fi thrillers, party movies, romance movies would be cool. You could do a bunch of stuff
Yeah.
through found footage. I think that would be really interesting.
Yeah. Got any more boo-boos?
Yeah, 2 more. How many scenes did you have to close your eyes for, and how many times did you jump while watching this?
Scenes, I don't know, every time it was night. And they slowed the clock would stop after the speed up. Jump, I only had I'd say even watching this at like 11 AM on a Saturday, there were still 2 parts that really got me in this repeat viewing. Um,
Okay.
yeah, so I think I had 1 or 2 big jumps. What about you?
Were your big jumps the loud bang, that scene? When it's like the
I think her
boom and the whole house is
scream.
rocking?
Scream or the door slam, one of those. I think her
Okay.
scream, and then the end.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah. Do you wanna give me what do you think makes this scary?
Yeah. I'll give you my thoughts, and then I wanna hear yours. I have 4 things that makes Paranormal Activity scary. The use of the unknown is fantastic. I really like that we don't ever find out exactly what's haunting them, what it looks like, what it really is. I think that works for a lot of reasons, and we'll dive into that. The use of sound is amazing. You hear everything happening. You can't, but again, to the unknown, you can't see it, but the low humming that gets you on edge, and then you hear that light pitter patter, and you know it's coming. The sound was fantastic, and then the loud bursts of sound used sparingly to really provide those jump scares. I think having your most intimate everything, your house, your spouse, all of that invaded by a demon is inherently unsettling. And I think the found footage aspect worked really well in this case if you're able to let go and just immerse yourself into what's going on.
Totally.
I think it was just a perfect storm of a lot of things coming together really well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I think makes it scary. But what about you? What really drove this home for Randy Barrage?
Yeah, I agree with your last point actually that this to me this is like the ultimate if you give yourself over to it and you just let yourself get wrapped up into it. I think it works and it's so scary. And it's kind of like a pet peeve of mine when people like try and like laugh or through horror movies or something. It's like to have the best experience, like just buy into it for an hour and a half. And
Yeah,
I think if you do that with this one, it works because who wouldn't be freaked out by this?
yeah.
Like the bump in the night, you don't know what's going on, especially the use of the camera in this where it's positioned in the room is like the bedroom door is open and it's leading out of the dark hallway where you can't really see what's going on. And it's just like you don't know quite what is happening back there. And that's just the scariest stuff, from when you're a kid and you hate going to the bathroom in the middle of the night or you don't want to be in your basement when you turn the lights off and you sprint up the stairs. Like that is just always scary to me,
I mean, even as an adult, I do that. I
even
don't
as an
like being
adult.
downstairs when I turn the lights off.
No, not at all. Like I think it's just a classic thing that is effective for humans is like
Yeah,
spooks at night, and this does it so
yeah,
well.
for sure. And I think Paranormal Activity tapped into two things that hit you from like an evolutionary perspective. And one is when you don't, like I said, when you don't know what it is, right? When you think there's something around the corner
Yeah,
that triggers your anxiety response. And then the inherent uncertainty and lack of control with it being this unknown demonic
yeah. Like, what do
entity.
you do?
They use he a lot, but who knows? I don't know the pronouns for
Yeah,
a demon. That triggers an evolutionary response, or at least my understanding is that also triggers an evolutionary response of anxiety. So you're just
yeah.
getting anxiety the entire time and it's escalating.
Easy. I mean, we talked about in reference to the ship scene in Nosferatu, where horror makes you view the whole screen, and this is one of them where like you're almost hating that you're doing it, but at the nighttime scenes, like you are looking everywhere,
Hmm.
and it's so scary, and it's even worse sometimes on the first viewing when you don't know what to look for, and you don't see what happened until Mika I always wanna say Micah. Mika is looking at the footage the next day. Like, I mean, 1, no matter what's going on in my life, I'm never recording myself at night while I'm sleeping because I just do not wanna know.
Yeah.
Just don't wanna know. It's like people who, like, hunt and put, like, cameras in the woods to, like, track animals, whatever, I guess, I don't know. I'm like, "I don't wanna watch that." Like, what if I see something I don't wanna see? Like, this is gonna scar me for life. Like, I just don't wanna know. Ignorance is bliss for me there.
Or you could
So,
see something magical. Who's to say, really?
yeah, the pros do not outweigh the cons for this one for me. I'm not. Are you ever gonna record yourself sleeping? I don't even wanna record
No,
my house when I'm
absolutely
away
not.
like what people do.
Yeah. I don't like recording myself when I'm awake. Why would I do it while I'm sleeping?
Yeah. No, not a chance. Yeah, Mika, oh my god, like, just stop. Just stop with the recording. It's totally on Katie's side with this.
I mean, should we talk? Is this a good time? Let's talk about Mika and how
Yeah.
he landed for you the second time around. I said it earlier. This movie is incredibly 2007 for a lot of ways. I mean, you have the being engaged to be engaged. Mika is unironically a day trader. His entire personality and of just like hating his girlfriend is very 2007. And also, shout out to the low cut jeans that made an appearance in this
Yeah,
movie. I completely forgot about that, and that
definitely
was
from American
hysterical.
Eagle or
Yeah,
Abercrombie or something.
just a blast from the past. But yeah, Mika. I mean, he kind of to me embodied that toxic masculinity where you treat your girlfriend like shit and do the opposite of literally everything she asked you to do the entire movie, and only made things worse by not listening to her.
Yeah.
I will concede that he was, in fact, in a shitty situation.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
Moving
ask
in
you is,
was,
like, is Mika bad person, or is he in a shit situation that's bringing it out, or are both things true?
I think both things can be true there.
Yeah.
Miko is probably not a great dude, uh, but also it was amplified by the fact that he had no control over his own home, having a demon in it that was terrorizing them
Yeah, I'm just surprised he stuck it out as long as he did.
until the end.
Yeah. What's funny is, like, so I was just Googling around, like, what are current thoughts of paranormal? And there was a Reddit thread on the horror subreddit of someone bashing Mika, and the actual Mika responded. This was 1 year ago. We're what,
1 year.
15 years after the movie, with, I mean, probably 10 to 12 paragraphs that Mika is not actually a bad person, that the demon is supposed to represent an abusive relationship, which I think is, for sure, and that Mika is just a pawn in this view into this abusive relationship and trying to get Katie to get out of this abusive relationship. I mean, he went on this whole dissertation, and I just like I I was like, I still don't know if I buy it. And a lot of people were like, yeah, well, he's still kind of a piece of shit. But I mean, crazy that, we're 15, 16 years on from this, and this actor is still like defending himself on
Yeah.
on Reddit. So
I mean,
this his
I've always
character
said
struck
it.
a chord.
I've always said it. If you need to defend yourself, Reddit is the place to do
Reddit,
it.
yeah, do it. Yeah. No,
I
it's
don't
not
even
gonna
know
blow
why
up in
we
your
have
face.
PR teams. Just go to Reddit and start answering random people's comments about the characters you've played on TV.
Yeah. Who needs a Supreme Court? Um,
We've got Reddit.
yeah. I mean, the weird I know I think what I think is taken personally by him here is the fact that, similar to Blair Witch, there was not really a script for this movie. There were cues of what was to happen, but they were generally not in the know on what they were gonna be doing to them at night, and they were not given a script for what they're saying to each other during the day. They're kind of improving all of that. So I think
Hmm.
he could be feeling a little defensive over putting a little bit of himself maybe into this situation, and people being like, "Wow, you are a toxic piece of shit."
I mean,
Um,
that's that was like the way the cool guy had been portrayed on TV so many times in that time period, though. Like, if we go back and watch a lot of mid 2000s movies, he's not the only person to behave like that towards their significant other. I mean, you could find that probably in almost any movie you pick where there's a
yeah,
relationship.
yeah. I mean, and this is a huge horror trope of the haunted or scared woman, girl, whatever, however old she is in the movie, and the unsupportive, kind of shrugging off the situation boyfriend
Mm,
who we all know is going to die. There's a reason they call it in horror movies the final girl and not the final boy. And that's because the trope has always been that there's kind of like this, whatever the aggressive masculinity thing that the guy tries to like exact on the ghoul, the killer, it just blows up in his face, and we all know he's gonna die. So I think he's leaning a little bit into a trope here, and I
Yeah.
get where he's coming from.
I've been thinking about that trope
Yeah,
a lot since watching this movie 2 days ago
yeah,
and 3 days ago. And one of I feel like there's maybe a little bit of room for both of these categories here, but I feel
totally.
like on one hand, you have the type of people that like and write horror movies may be more in line with that type of personality. But on the other hand, it got me thinking, is that an intentional act in the sense that what if you're doing that so that the audience feels more empathy towards that female character
Yeah.
who's just been saying the whole time that something's wrong and she needs help and no one's helping her. And then if you build more empathy, does that trigger those anxieties and fears more when those things happen to her and ultimately make the movie scarier?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, like, in any horror movie, you have to have the person who is just shooting down all the concerns of the lead and saying that they're overthinking this, where you would then as the audience are just screaming at them like, "No, he's right. Mike Myers is following us around and he was driving by us in that car." Um,
Yeah.
and even though the police chief like doesn't care, like you have to have that person. Um, I mean, I think it's almost like a bit of a plot device too for them to like not be fully on the same team of working together to overcome the situation. Because instead of working together against the demon, the killer, insert whoever, they're working almost against each other. And that's what's happening here is like Mika and Katie are not taking similar approaches to how they want to go about this. I mean, they couldn't be, I mean, everything she wants or he wants to do is what she is explicitly telling him not to do, like through the
Yeah.
entire runtime.
Yeah. Actually, the exact opposite.
Yeah, like couldn't be making worse decisions from Katie's
Every
perspective.
decision Mika made escalated the situation. But also from a plot perspective, and I don't write movies, right?
Yeah,
I'm definitely not writing movies that are making hundreds of millions of dollars.
yeah,
Um, how and this is just rhetorical unless you have an answer, but like how do you escalate the plot that way without that conflict between the characters and in such a, low budget, low location thing, how else do you have conflict unless it's inherently like a misguided relationship? I don't know the answer to that.
yeah.
Much smarter people than me do. Because even if you think about some of the other ones that worked, like Blair Witch, same type of thing with the relationships. Certain
Easy.
people wanted
Yeah,
certain things, certain people pushed it. Late Night with the Devil, the host is no, that movie was a little bit different, but that host was ultimately not listening to the people saying like, "We need to stop. We need to do this. We need to do that." He was like, "No, I'm going forward."
yeah,
Right. And I don't think it has to necessarily be a shitty dating relationship, but you have to have that one person who's just not thinking rationally in the situation and escalating things or allowing things to escalate, if not directly escalating them.
yeah. No, I agree. I think you have to manufacture conflict somehow, and this is the way you go about it here. And for me, it works. The only trope they lean into here that like doesn't make sense to me is the fact that they seem so cut off from any other human being in the world, like, through this. Like, I can't remember. I wanna say this haunting takes place over, I don't know, is it, like, half a month, maybe?
Yeah, a
I'm
couple
trying to remember
weeks.
day 1. It was, like, I wanna say it's, like, beginning of October, and the last day is around
Yeah.
the 16th to 17th. But because Mika's a day trader and works at home, Katie is a student, they're home all the time. Like, you never see them go anywhere, you never see them interact with another person except Katie's friend who comes over, They're not calling and talking to anyone on the phone, like family, friend. Like there's just no engagement with another human being in this movie that
Yeah,
feels a little unrealistic, where they're like on their own when they're just living in like suburbia, San
that's
Diego.
completely fair. Because
Um,
they even touch on that in the subsequent um, Paranormal Activities. They do a much better
mhm,
job of making, from what I remember, of them
yeah,
not being so cut off. So it's a great point. But
yeah. So I don't know. I mean, that's my only issue because yeah, I mean, like you said, if Mika wasn't acting like this to kind of further along the story and introducing things that are antagonizing the demon and feeding off his
mhm.
negative energy, I don't know how else that really happens in this movie. It works.
Now I know
Huh.
you are a special features buff,
Yeah.
and Paranormal Activity has a few alternate endings, which may or may not be on your DVD.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about them? Have you seen them? Do you like them better? Do you like them worse? What are you thinking?
Yeah. I've seen them all. Have you seen them all? I think there's
I
three.
I don't think I've seen the one with the cops.
Yeah. Which is the original ending.
Really?
And
Okay.
uh, the notes for this actually came from Steven Spielberg, who watched this movie. He said he watched half of it, had to stop and then watch it during the day because he got an early cut of it, and he convinced Oren to change the ending to the ending we saw in the theatrical release. So those were Spielberg notes, which Pelly actually to this day says he still prefers his original ending, but when you're probably an up and coming filmmaker, are you going to combat these script notes of Steven Spielberg? Probably not.
Yeah, especially when it probably is the difference between your movie getting produced by
Yeah.
Paramount or not. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's yeah, so that was the original ending where the I think Katie's friend that we see throughout the film
Mhm.
alerts the cops that something bad has been going on here, and they should do kind of a wellness check, I think, in a way. And they knock on the door, they come in, there's kind of an altercation between them and Katie. I think Mika's already dead at this point, and then you kind of hear from outside the room this escalating more, and then they shoot Katie, and Katie and the demon are dead. Um,
But Miko lives?
I think Mika's already dead at this point.
Miko's
Um,
already dead.
yeah. And then the other one I know is like the throat slit ending, which she walks up, and I've
I
seen
have
that because that
seen
is
that
on the
one.
DVD one, which that one almost ties it in a little bit nicer of a bow in a way. But I think they didn't go with that because I think they need Katie alive for the sequels, if I remember correctly. So they kept the theatrical ending that we've seen. But I don't know, they all work for me in different ways. The theatrical, that was what I remember from the movie theater of people just going bananas. Was that throw
Having
of Mika into the camera.
Oh my god, just yeeting him across the room like he weighs
Yeah,
nothing is insane. But also, I think that knowing that Katie is out there and knowing that that demon is in Katie's body was
yeah,
what was really terrifying for me. Because, I mean, Randy and I grew up in Pennsylvania, Penn's Woods. In our neighborhood, there's a bunch of trees. You can't always see through everything. There's a little wood.
yeah,
I lived in Hidden Creek, in the back of Hidden Creek, where there's a crap ton of woods. I was scared that every time I was walking the dog at night, I was
yeah,
scared that Katie's running out of those woods and yeeting me down the street, and I'm done.
yeah, yeah. Or maybe this is the time to start talking about the scariest scenes. And, it's bad podcasting to start at the scariest and the end, but we're already on it. And just that, even after when she just like is over top of his body and then does that sinister look into the camera, and then you get kind of the smash cut ending. I mean, theater was on the floor. I was on the floor.
Oh, you were out the door.
Yeah, I was out the emergency exit.
I gotta say that ending got ruined for me a little bit the second time around, and here's why. We're watching. I'm feeling the anxiety, and I think it was just my sound bar and TV, but one of the footsteps didn't align,
Mm,
and it didn't align by enough that I was like, "That was wrong."
yeah,
And then I was thinking about that, and I, like, kinda missed what was happening because I just fixated on that, so,
yeah,
a little bummed, but also wasn't rewinding it. I'm not an
no,
idiot. Maybe that was my mind going it probably matched up perfect, it was just my mind protecting me from
yeah,
having nightmares.
yeah, it was a fear response. But yeah, I
Um,
kind of forgot that that was how it ended, and I remembered it after I watched it this weekend, but I jumped big time when he flies at the camera. Like, it still got me.
oh, yeah.
Um,
For me, it's the one where the house goes and everything's
yeah,
shaking because it's like at least where she gets out of bed and gets drunk, you kinda have the sense that something's happening, but both times I've seen this movie, just the loud thud of everything shaking in the house has caught me off guard. I knew it was coming. I
yeah.
knew that's the scene we were on, and it still scared the shit out of me.
Was that the first? Because I clocked it when I was watching it this time, it was around 35 minutes, there's the first huge bump in the night, and it's pretty much gloves are off from there.
That's it.
Is that
Yes,
the first one?
I think so. Because you have, like, the keys and the thumping and in the
Yeah,
room, the door, not those.
but this
The
was the
first
first big one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, the first time it felt like things were really escalating, and you were getting a sense of the magnitude of what this thing could do.
Yeah. That one is big for me. The other one that just always gets me is the shadow on the door, and I think it's one of the last few nights, but you hear the footsteps coming up
Do,
the
do,
stairs,
do,
and then
do.
you just see the shadow, yeah, just pass through the door, and then Mika looks at the oh my god, that stuff just makes my skin crawl every time. Hate it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, any other scary scenes for you?
You know which scene I didn't find scary? The whole outside thing. Her sitting outside in the trance and then running around.
Yeah.
Didn't get it. I just don't get the scene, I guess, because it felt or maybe the whole point was you were building up and you finally got a little bit of a break and it helps you let your guard down again. That could be the point too. But I didn't feel like any fear or anxiety response to also I knew that's where she was. Like I knew she wasn't missing. So
Yeah, I knew she was there, but I couldn't remember if there was a jump scare at this part because this is maybe the fastest camera work we see in Paranormal Activity where Mika's really moving around trying to find her and he's going into rooms and turning and I was waiting for her to be standing there and it does eventually happen where she's just there. And every time he entered a new room and was whipping the camera, I was like, "Oh my god, just stop. I know she's going to be just there, in her catatonic state or Katie tonic, if you will." And yeah, that was just giving me anxiety, but no, her just being out there was fine. But that was the point where I'm like, if I'm him, I'm out. If I watch that footage the next day, that
yeah.
we're figuring out another arrangement because this isn't working for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the tropes that didn't work for me in this was the Ouija board. It just felt kind of like we're just throwing it in for the sake of it just felt too cliche. And maybe that's just because we've had so much Ouija board stuff over the last 20 years in like horror movies, but I was just like, it just felt half baked in terms of everything else. Like they needed to add in another scary thing. But though it was the only scary thing that really happened during the daytime, I will say that because I think it caught fire when they actually went out of the house for like the only time in this movie.
It did. And smoke detectors didn't go off. That was a little concerning.
Yeah, true.
Uh what
Change those batteries.
yeah. I mean, come on, Mika.
Yeah,
You got batteries for that camera, but you don't got batteries for your smoke
he's
detector?
probably using all the batteries
Please.
for the smoke detector in the camera.
Just goes and undoes all the smoke detectors so he can film himself
Yeah.
sleeping at night.
What about the psychic? The scared psychic always works for me.
He knew.
You know?
He knew. That's all I'm gonna say. He knew. It was fine.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Oh,
had to explain what was going on somehow. that was just as good as anything else, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, any other I mean, maybe this is a good time to talk about too, since I talk the Ouija board is a trope I didn't like. The trope that I think this movie perfects, which we have to talk about, is the day-night mechanic. And day-night is nothing new. I mean, almost any scary movie, the bad things are happening at night, the bad things are happening when it's dark out. But I think what they do differently here is the clock speed up
Mhm.
and then the absolute dread of when it slows down at night still. And I remember being in the theater, and then as soon as we went from daytime and then you saw that it's 3 AM, everyone just groans and they're like, "Oh no, here we go again." And I think they did it the best that I've ever seen it done in terms of like that type of mechanic. I had a comment here. Someone wrote in, Brooke said, biggest emotional roller coaster of my life, calm during the day and then hiding behind 5 pillows during the night scenes. I mean, I think that's everyone in this movie. It's
Yeah.
I think it's just like the best use of this horror trope and mechanic ever.
Well, it also gave you a clear, like, up and down moment
Yeah.
in the movie, and it let you relax, which was so important to, like, getting you scared again.
Yeah. Yeah, the daytime is just even when they're just
Yeah.
doing dumbass shit like, Katie's having like a bead day with her friend. I'm like, what is it? What is it? What are we doing here? Making beads?
Yeah.
But
You're right.
I was
When
happy
you're right,
for it.
you're right. Yeah. When you're right, you're right. The mechanic worked really well.
Yeah.
They nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just perfect. I mean, even way better, I think, than Blair Witch because all that stuff's happening at night too. But just the clock edition just took it to a whole nother level in this one. And I
Yeah.
don't know, it's not like even Late Night with the Devil or any of these others, they're reviewing the footage in real time, which they're kind of doing in this. So like, yeah, all the daytime scenes are just looking at everything that scared us from the night before. It's just brutal stuff. Oh, what else you got? Any other big things you want to tuck into with this one?
Where the most inappropriate laugh track would be.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking when he gets the photo out, because this is a very traumatizing moment for Katie, and he pulls it out of the attic and then hands it to her, and she looks at it, and I just hear like the What about you?
Oh, I had two. Anytime Mika says anything mean to Katie,
Yeah.
just, in that typical sitcom-y.
Yeah, like Married with Children.
Yeah, exactly. That would've been awful. Or when the Katie gets drugged by the demon for the first
Yeah.
time, it's just like she loses her balance, goes, and then you just hear the erupting laughter.
Yeah. Yeah,
That
that,
would've been a pretty.
I forgot about that scene too. That was a big scare when she gets legitimately just pulled
Yeah.
out of the I think that was where it ramped up another notch in the theater. You wanna give me your best escape plan? What are you doing if you're in this situation? What's your course of action?
Oftentimes when I'm trying to escape the demonic possession of my significant other, normally what I do is if I can't reach the first demonologist on the phone, I find another one.
Yeah, it's like there's gotta
What
be
do you
other
mean there's
options out
only
there.
one? You're flying this guy from wherever the hell into San
Yeah,
Diego to come see you, but you can't make 2 phone calls? Come
yeah,
on. Like, what are we doing here?
yeah,
They just gave up so fast on that, and it drove me bonkers.
yeah. They did give up. I mean, they sought out 0 help,
No,
which was an influence of Mika for sure, but they made
even
no
he gave
effort.
up at a point and said, "Okay, fine, let's call the guy." And then he doesn't answer, he's out of the country, and they go, "Ah, darn it,
Yeah. Yeah.
drats."
I mean, and if the one thing I see is demons manifest on negative energy, I don't know. Could we do something like maybe some yoga? I don't know.
Beat
Can we
more
do
B-days?
yeah, do do something positive.
Just go touch grass. Like,
I
go sit in the
know.
sun. You're in San Diego, like,
I
you had a
know.
pool day, have another.
Yeah, go to the beach. Go sleep on the beach. I don't know. Just like the lack of like there was zero attempt to sleep anywhere else, to get help, and I'm just not riding that out for 2 to 3 weeks
No,
without trying something new.
anything new.
Yeah.
Anything new.
But this is the tough things with demons, it's like, in terms of an escape plan, it's like, what are you really gonna do here?
Try. You're
Try.
going to try. You're
Yeah,
not going to try to provoke it and catch it and capture it on camera. You're going
yeah,
to try to get rid of it.
yeah. Or, it's different. I mean, if I'm Katie in the situation, you kind of have some bad luck here. If I'm Mika, I'm out. I'm gone. Sorry,
Do
Katie.
you want me to text Alyssa that you're over, or do you want to talk to her?
It's just not happening. I'm just not willingly sleeping with a demon. Like, it's just not it's not gonna work. Have you seen any of the sequels?
I've seen at least the second and third, but it's been so long. I gave up after the one where it wasn't found footage and it was like them at their grandparents' house or something. They made like a I don't remember. Maybe that was the fourth one. I don't know. I gave up at some point.
Yeah. I think I feel like I've seen up through 4, but I know for a fact I've seen the 3rd one, which I found really good. Like, maybe not I don't know, maybe even better than this one. That's the one with the 2 I think it's Katie and her sister as kids.
And it ends with the house burning down.
And
Spoiler alert, it ends
yeah,
with the house burning down.
ends with the house
Which,
burning down and, like, all the witches are, like, storming. Um, yeah, that one was really scary, I thought. But caveat, we went and saw it in college, and I drank an OG Four Loko before we saw it, so
so
I
your heart
can't
was going a mile a minute
yeah,
before you went into the scary
before,
movie.
yeah, so I can't, with good faith, say whether this was scary or not.
You know what they say? 0 out of 10 doctors recommend doing that. So it was a really good choice by Brady Bear.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you did in those days. Probably came out of, like, 2011, 2012. But, yeah, they just ramped it up with the kids in that one of kids make everything scarier, and just these little girls, like, talking to this demon at night. It's nightmare fuel for me.
Yeah.
Just hate it. I remember a light bright maybe being involved in this and messages being displayed on the light bright. I don't know.
You know
Yeah.
who does a really good job of the demonic possession?
Who?
Haunting of Hill House on
Oh, yeah.
Netflix.
That.
Not to I just completely derailed our entire conversation by saying that, but the way you were describing that made me think of some specific scenes there too.
Yeah. Everything with Broken Neck Lady was the worst stuff of my entire life watching that show. Oh, anything else you got here?
No, I think we've hit everything I wanted to talk about with Paranormal Activity.
Yeah. I think the only thing I'll say that I just saw in my notes, significant lack of pillows on this bed. They had one each and they had no comforter. And
Budget restrictions.
who sleeps like that? Who
People
sleeps
with
like that?
$15,000 and nothing else.
I was like, yeah, this looked like a prison bed. I was like, there's no way I'm sleeping with one solo pillow. That's just crazy. But yeah, we can get out of here. This is a great movie. If you've never seen it, I'd say check it out. If you are not, even
For
if I'm
sure.
given the wuss factor, like if you are hard out on horror, do not. I just don't try this one. Like, I don't know, this one is not for you if you don't like paranormal. But if you like that type of stuff, I think it's a fun time. Just give yourself
Yeah.
over to it. Yeah,
Let
we
the
can wrap up.
demon in.
Let the demon in. Yeah. This is another episode of Rewatch Scare. Second one. We'll be coming back next month. Back into the action. What do we call it? Rewatch shoot? I forget what we're calling it.
Something like that.
But we'll be doing John Wick. And then I don't know what horror we'll be cracking next, but we'll see. But yeah, this was fun. It was good to revisit this. Like I said, one of the best theater experiences of my life. Not a movie I enjoy revisiting all the time because of the spooks, but I can do it for breakfast.
There you go. Brunch, if you
Yeah.
will.
All right, man. Take it easy. Thanks, everyone.
Say it.